Have you ever really thought about it? I mean, what if you had to build a society completely from scratch? What rules would you even make for things like charity or conflict or for protecting the most vulnerable? Well, about 1400 years ago, a brand new community was facing those exact questions. And their foundational text, the Qur'an, provided some incredibly direct and profound answers. So, how did this text respond to these huge, pressing issues? Let's explore the blueprint for a just society that it laid out. I mean, this was the central challenge. Just imagine it. You're building a new community, right? You're all bound by a shared faith, and you need a framework that's actually going to work in the real world. This wasn't some thought experiment for them. This was about survival, about forging a completely new identity. And what's so compelling is how the Quran goes about this. It's not just a list of top-down commands. No, it's more like this dynamic dialogue. The community asks a question, and the Quran gives an answer. So let's look at 4 of these crucial questions and their remarkably timeless answers. So, first up, a question that really gets to the heart of any community. Where should our money go? Who are we supposed to help first? It's really a fundamental question about our priorities. So the people ask what they should spend, and the answer they get is surprisingly direct. It's not about complex formulas or percentages of your wealth. Instead, it's about a very simple, very profound question of who. This guidance sets up a super clear order of responsibility. What's so fascinating here is the logic behind it. The Quran lays out this kind of ripple effect of responsibility. You start with your innermost circle, your parents, and then you expand outward to your relatives, then to orphans, the needy, and so on. It's a really powerful idea. You build a strong foundation at home with the people closest to you, and then you extend that strength to the wider community. And you see, this isn't just a one-off instruction. Earlier in the very same chapter, this exact same list pops up again, but this time it's framed as a core part of what it means to be truly righteous. The message is just unmistakable. Taking care of these specific groups of people is absolutely fundamental to the faith itself. Okay, so now the questions shift a bit, from building the community from the inside to protecting it from the outside. The early Muslims were facing some real existential threats, and that led them to ask about the very difficult ethics of war. Right away, the Quran acknowledges the human reality of conflict, that it's hateful. There's no glorification of war here at all. Instead, it contrasts our limited, often emotional perspective with a divine wisdom that sees a much bigger picture, one that we might not be able to grasp in the heat of the moment. Here, the community asks about a very specific rule, fighting during a sacred month. And the answer is incredibly nuanced. It starts by saying, yes, fighting then is a great sin. But then it introduces this critical idea. Not all wrongs are created equal. Some actions are far, far worse. This is the principle of proportionality laid out right there for us. Breaking a rule of war, that's a transgression, for sure. But things like systematic persecution, religious oppression, and driving people from their homes, what the text calls fitna, well, that is a far greater crime against humanity. The underlying message is that you have to weigh actions against each other. And this whole section ends by defining what it means to be an active believer. It's not just about some passive faith. Here, mercy is something you actually strive for, through action, through struggle, and through sacrifice. It's this powerful combination of belief, effort, and ultimately hope. The questions then turn inward again, moving from external threats to internal ones. The community wanted to know about some common social practices, drinking and gambling. What was their place going to be in this new society? Now, this is interesting. The Qur'an's first response isn't an immediate, outright ban. Instead, it offers a kind of rational analysis. It actually acknowledges that, yeah, people might find some benefit or pleasure in these things. But then it poses a simple, profound question. Do the harms outweigh the benefits? And the answer is a clear yes. The sin, the harm, is greater. And this reveals a really fascinating approach to social change. See, instead of imposing a sudden, total ban on a custom that was deeply ingrained in society, the Quran uses a gradual method. First, it makes the moral argument. Then, it sets practical limits. And only then, once the community is ready, does the final prohibition come. It's a process of guiding people toward change, not just forcing it on. Finally, we get to one of the most sensitive indicators of any society's health, how it treats its orphans. the community was concerned, and they wanted to know how to handle their affairs in the right way. The answer is just beautiful in its simplicity, but so profound in its implications. The goal isn't just to, manage their property. The goal is improvement for them. And the method? Don't isolate them. Integrate them. Treat them as if they are your own brothers. And it comes with this stark reminder that God sees the true intention behind every single action.
At the very heart of this guidance is the Arabic word islah. It means to amend, to reform, to actively make things better. So the Qur'an is demanding this proactive, positive approach to caring for orphans, one that's built on a foundation of kinship and community, not some sterile administration.
So when we take a step back and look at all these answers together, a pattern starts to emerge. These aren't just separate rulings for separate issues. They actually begin to form a coherent and deeply insightful ethical framework. 3 powerful principles really stand out. First, a deep understanding of priorities, knowing what truly comes first. Second, a rational harm versus benefit scale to judge social practices. And third, a system of law that is consistently tempered with mercy, one that's always focused on reform and compassion. And that leaves us with a final thought. These questions about justice and war and social welfare, they aren't just relics of the past. We face them every single day in new and really complex forms. So the real question for us is, can this ancient blueprint, with its focus on priorities, on rational analysis, and on profound mercy, can it still offer us a compass today?